listening to Living with ADHD and CPTSD, available on Apple and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another bonus podcast of Living with ADHD and CPTSD. Today, we're going to talk about CPTSD, and I want to discuss and show you, the audience, just how difficult and hard it is dealing with your trauma and with your blended system. Because I don't know if I've really explained or have really gone into detail as much as I could with my audience regarding my own personal problem when it comes to my CPTSD and dealing with my trauma. It's complicated, obviously. Everybody has their own unique way of how their CPTSD was developed, where it came from, and the kind of work that you're doing to help try and heal from it, the kind of therapy that you're doing, what you're discussing, how far you've been in this work. There's all these different aspects of life with your trauma that we're all uniquely dealing with. It's pretty rare, to be honest, for us to be all the same. Now, I'm not to say that there aren't those out there who have similar stories or the same story regarding to what they went through, but most of the time we're all pretty unique when it comes to our struggles and what led us to having this trauma and dealing with triggers and flashbacks and our child parts. And I will admit and acknowledge to my audience that I realize there are some people out there who don't know or realize or have what we call child parts. That it's a different sort of explanation given to them by their therapist. So I understand that. So I'm not dismissing other people's knowledge or understanding of their trauma and how their CPTSD works within themselves. This is just my own experiences and my own history of my CPTSD, obviously. Okay. So if you're not aware, I learned about my trauma about 3 years ago. And it was very cloudy at first, and I didn't know what exactly it was about. I had a lot of skeptical feelings regarding it. And at the same time, I was trying to understand and determine other things like ADHD as well. And it wasn't until just recently that, of course, I learned that it's a very good chance and it's highly likely that my ADHD was developed because of my CPTSD, because of the trauma that I experienced as a young child and growing up and into my teenage years in school. And that's where it came from. So the struggles, which are many, and the depth of where they are is quite complicated and difficult to understand. I have learned a great deal about myself regarding my trauma and my past. And I have to admit that I do struggle on a daily basis at times. And having a partner who, one, has dealt with her own CPTSD and trauma, and having a meaningful and romantic relationship with this person does make this even more difficult, because there's a lot more at stake than if you were just by yourself, especially if you're learning about it and you're just starting your healing process and you're just starting therapy. My relationship has been on the rocks, and a lot of questions and a lot of unknown answers that I'm not able to get. And the struggles that I've been dealing with are vast and multiple struggles. And I make progress, but yet there's just more that seems to always come up. And to the level of where it is and why is hard to understand from my point of view, which is clearly why, of course, I have a therapist that I see, and why I do a lot of research, and why I have learned such a great deal about CPTSD and trauma and the effects that it has on a person's mental health and development of their brain. And which is why, obviously, knowing that my ADHD is very likely because of CPTSD. It's the root of my ADHD. Putting it all together and putting a plan into action to heal has been difficult. You don't realize how deep and how complex the trauma goes into you until you start to see just all the negative effects that it causes. And when you're at a point where the slightest thought or this, like seeing something that you notice automatically makes you say to yourself, I can't experience this because of my trauma. I don't have the ability to enjoy that. I can't enjoy this happiness or this love or this feeling that I see this couple having, because my trauma gets in the way. I'm not healed. I'm not there yet. I've seen this, or sorry, not seen this. I have experienced this a number of times over the past number of years, and a lot recently, considering the struggles that I've been having and the reality of where I am today and where my relationship currently sits. There's been a lot of this happening where yesterday I was on a walk in the downtown area of the city I live with my dog, as we tend to walk around on a nightly basis to get our exercise, get his daily walk in. And I came by this couple who were having a nice time, enjoying each other's company. You could tell that they were like really happy together and romantic. And I remember thinking about it and and as I walked by, and in my mind, I automatically went, gee, I wish I could experience that. I wish I knew what that felt like. I wish it wasn't like the way I have it now. And then I'm like, I realize that because of my trauma, because of my child parts, this is not currently possible. I'm I'm having triggers because I can't be emotionally open like this couple is right now. And it sucks because I don't really know if I'm going to be able to. Like, I don't know. I honestly can't say confidently to myself that in just a matter of time, I'm going to be able to experience what they're experiencing. It's really sad and it's depressing because I want to feel that. I want to have the excitement that you get from having your partner with you. Going on a nice romantic walk in a beautiful evening together and being able to hold each other's arms and hold your hand and talk about things in life, talk about each other, talk about happiness and love, instead of having a misunderstanding or something stupid that's been said completely ruin the evening and cut the entire walk short and have nothing but silence for the entire way home and for the rest of the evening. That's not fun. There's nothing romantic and exciting about having to deal with silence because your actions or your inability to be thorough and communicate well and being able to have a conversation without getting triggered, getting in the way, and not having that option or that ability right now. It really does suck. And you sit back and for a little while, I was kept walking and I thought about it, and the thing is, instead of staying on that thought and thinking about it and trying to divulge further and kind of like analyze every part of it and figure out why and where it's coming from and investigate thoroughly, instead I wanted to avoid it. I decided to just focus on what was happening right now. Focus on the visual, beauty that was in front of me as I was walking, rather than think about it. Because, to be honest, it was just too painful and too depressing to think about all the reasons why I'm not able to have that. And it does make you wonder, and it does make you question yourself and question everything. It's not a fun feeling by any means, and you want to avoid that. Like I don't want to deal with that. I already have so much going on inside my head as it is that I really don't want to have to think about it any more than I already do. And knowing that right now there doesn't seem to be any improvement in sight in the immediate short term doesn't help, because you want to feel the good feelings that you get, right? Like, you don't want to feel the sadness and that feeling of hopelessness and despair. That's definitely not what you want. And when you sit back and you think about it, you know that there's only two possibilities. There's one of two things that you can do. You can fight hard and realize that the only way you're going to get there is to think clearly and realize and admit to yourself that you need to work towards getting to where you have to be in order for this to work. Or you can continue pretending and fooling only yourself and never admitting that there's a problem and never wanting to do anything about it, and repeatedly running away from your problems and the issue and never facing and never making any progress and never healing. I don't think anybody honestly wants to make the choice of running away from their fears and their pain. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody has a natural instinct to fight and to make things better for themselves, to improve and to keep what they've earned, or, make things better. The only people that give up are those that are seriously having a lot of problems and need a lot of help. Like, it's sad what mental illness can do to someone. It can make them feel extremely hopeless and extremely desperate, and eventually, if things never improve, they get to a point where they feel so hopeless and despair that they don't want to do anymore. They just want to run away and start again, or they just decide to end it and not face that pain and fear that they are always facing. But most people who still have any shred of hope and positive, strength inside them will fight with everything that they have to get there and to make things better and to do whatever it takes to help themselves and improve their well-being and work on themselves. They'll do whatever it takes. They'll do as much research. They'll get the professional help. They'll talk to people that they trust. They'll take the steps necessary to get there. As long as they realize that it's not going to be easy and there's a lot of work involved, and you're going to have days at a time where it feels like you're not getting anywhere, and you might have that feeling of wanting to give up. But as long as you know ahead of time and realize that is a good possibility and it's likely going to be the case at times, then you can face that head on and learn from those experiences, and then move forward and continue on your journey of healing and improving your life. Like, in order to get there, you obviously have to face what is really causing it, and to not be afraid, and to not run, and to not pretending that it doesn't exist and that it's going to go away if you just don't think about it, or if you just avoid it and start fresh and new, will never really work. You're only fooling yourselves if you think that's going to work, because at some point you might if you did start fresh and you met someone new and you moved somewhere where nobody knew you, and you might have good experiences at the beginning, and you might feel this is great, and you feel happy, and you're not feeling afraid. But because you haven't healed from your trauma and you haven't made any real progress, the second that something difficult occurs, or you get any kind of relapse or a flashback to any kind of incident that reminds you of what you've been through, you're just going to be back to square one. You're going to realize that you haven't really made any progress. You haven't healed. Nothing, it isn't good at all. And you're just going to have to start over, and you're just going to have to, at some point, make a decision. You either run and you keep hiding and pretending, or you face the truth and you face your reality, and you do what is necessary. You put the hard work in, and you learn to face the failure that is bound to occur in this, the steps that you're going to take to heal and to get better. If you can realize that the correct choice to make in this is to face it and to begin healing and move forward and make progress, then it won't take long for you to know that you're doing the right thing. And you will know that and realize that you are going to have days that are going to feel horrible, and you're going to question the motivation, and you're going to question yourself, and you have to be capable of looking at the bigger picture and see that in order to move forward, we have to learn to realize and understand that these fears are not the end of the world, that they're not going to hold you down. They're not going to stop you. They're opportunities for you to realize that you can get beyond this, or you can get past this, that it is part of the process of healing and getting better. And accepting that and facing that head on and not being afraid of it is a good way of, and a good step to getting to where you want to go, which is to healing from your trauma, and at one time in the future being able to not allow it to control your life and to get in the way of living a happy and proud and successful life, whether it's professionally or personally. And you may have a time or a day where something, perhaps like a flashback, may trigger you, but you'll be at a point in your life that you've done enough healing that you'll be able to, as the adult, stay in control of the situation and work through it and quickly get past it and say, hey, look, it's okay. Yeah, I got triggered. It's okay, guys. Everything's fine. Look at what we did. We were able to see right away that it wasn't dangerous, that I am okay, and that everything is good, and we're fine. And it's you get there eventually through hard work and through repetitive. It's the processing that we have to do on a daily basis multiple times that eventually gets us there, that gets those parts trusting the adults, so that when that occasion occurs, like I explained and gave in detail, we're able to deal with it in an adult way and quickly, see it, accept it, and then move forward and not allow it to take control of our life in that moment and cause problems or cause situations that aren't appropriate or are childlike behaviors. We want to get to a point where that's not going to be the case when or if we do get triggered in the future. That's where we're looking to aim for. And just realize that it's a very difficult and very strenuous procedure and steps that are involved to get there, and that it's not going to be easy. And we have to accept those facts and realize that it is going to take some work. It's not going to be a simple thing. It's not going to take one or two trips to the psychologist to get us into the spot where we're thinking, oh, we're good, we're healed, we're not worried anymore, because you're only fooling yourself if that's what you believe. If you face the reality and you accept what is required, then you've already made a great deal of progress, more than others who are too afraid to face that. All right, that's it for this episode, this bonus podcast. If you would like to comment, or you want to discuss the episode or anything else related to CPTSD or my podcast, there are a number of ways to get a hold of me. You can go to Twitter. The Twitter handle is at ADHD and CPTSD. You can email me. It is livingwithadhd and CPTSD at gmail.com. And there's my website, which is livingwithadhd and CPTSD.ca. If you really find this and other episodes extremely beneficial to you, and you're looking to show your appreciation for the hard work that's been put into each episode, then you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/livingwithadhd and CPTSD, and you can donate to the podcast to help continue the ability to record episodes and publish them to the air. And I've got some interesting things coming up. I am looking at, and I believe I do have a few now who are in the profession of helping others with CPTSD that are going to become guests on my show. And they're going to be episodes that will be available for everyone to listen to. And I'm really excited to put this together, and I can't wait, because I want my audience to be able to hear from experts in trauma and another person's opinion on ways to help with when it comes to healing and dealing with your trauma and your triggers. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, everybody. That's it. I hope you have a great day, and I shall talk to you later. Bye for now.